because it'll take away the sting of death, even if you have a little bit of faith. But if you exercise that faith and say, I got nothing else, I'm drawing blanks here, God. I mean, there's just so much unnecessary human suffering, and it's such a horrific scene. And I want your will established here because I have to believe that you want us to have fun. You want us to be at peace with each other and not be filled with anxiety and fear and loathing and burden and all this crap that's unnecessary. It's not even from the original sin. It's not organic. It's just being invented and created by evil doing men. And of course, women. I mean, women are part of the whole. It's just that mankind is, to my mind, womankind. We're one and the same. We're the same species. And that's how this race business, it just makes me crazy. Oakland is going to start giving away money down in Oakland, California, to only people of color. I mean, it's glaring, brazen, blatant discrimination based on race. You understand? I mean, it's like, don't people see this? Where's the outrage? Why am I the only guy flapping in the wind saying that's outrageous? You think that's not going to inevitably create animosity? Of course it is. But I'm tired of this crap, man. Okay, because listen, a lot of Indians are very light-skinned. You don't know it. I mean, look. I mean, this whole business about racism, I'm just sick and tired of it. Get over it, man. Okay, I mean, really, it's a tribalistic kind of thing. Okay, look at the way people love to live together. They'll make literal neighborhoods. We know that, whole districts, to be around their tribe, their people. We all know this is true. You got your Chinatowns, you got your Vietnam towns, your Korea towns, you got your Yugoslavia towns, Slavic towns. Okay, you got all kinds of stuff. We all know that, Little Italy's, right? We all know Little Mexico, one of the best places in California. Okay, family oriented of all the places, because it's pretty much spoiled by the investors snapping up all the available housing, just putting burden on the backs of the workers, just stealing the wealth. I mean, this is the way the system operates. But it's Watsonville, California. A lot of Latinos down in that area, and they're very family oriented. I got to meet my, I don't know what my relation would be. It was my wife's granddad, and he was a Scottish guy. Tory was the name. And he lived in Watsonville. Nice guy, but he had a big giant redwood tree, the biggest redwood tree in Watsonville, he told me. But he was telling me his opinion of Santa Cruz. It was a hellhole in his estimation. And we're going back to the 80s. But he loved Watsonville. And, it was predominantly Latino population. So, when I talk about immigration, I'm not anti-Latino. No, hell no, I'm not anti-Latino. My mom was born in East LA. She spoke fluent Spanish. I wish I had taken advantage of that and learned more Spanish. And she probably knew Croatian, or whatever language they spoke from Dalmatia. She learned from her mom. Her mom didn't even speak English. She was speaking some kind of Yugoslavian tongue, Slavic tongue. I got to meet my grandma, her mom. It was that we're going back though. I mean, I was very little boy. I mean, we're talking probably 2 and 3, 4 at the most, probably. And she lived in Maywood, I remember. But my mom's dad died young when my mom was 14. I guess he worked himself to death pretty young in his 40s or something. It devastated my mom. She was the baby of the family. She had 2 older sisters and 2 older brothers. But anyhow, enough with that. But listen, friends, no, there's no room for racism. I think we ought to have a Cesar Chavez Day, who is opposed to illegal immigration, that stood for the rights of the workers, try to protect them from toxic chemicals, and get them a fair shake, unionize them. I mean, what's wrong with that? I think we should have a Cesar Chavez Day. Yeah, I think, you know what? I tell you, I'd do a lot less bitching, moaning, and complaining about stuff if I saw that there was a semblance of justice, social economic justice in our society. Okay, and what I mean by that, I mean, if people out there spilling their blood, sweat, and tears every day out on these farms, Okay, I'd like to see them get ahead. If there's going to be a wealth imbalance, a disparity here, let it go to those that deserve it the most. Let it make sense. You know, it really bugs me. I just hate social economic injustice. All of it. None of it is okay. And for you to say it is and tolerate it and just wink, nod, and don't even talk about it, sort of thing, but you know it's unjust and it's going on right under your nose, you're tolerating it by not speaking out. That speaks volumes. You see, the apathy, not caring about this, the unnecessary human suffering that's being imposed on people. It's totally unfair what's happened. The theft, the ripoff, man. It's horrific, man. I mean, when's the last time the mainstream media educated you about the correlation between the price people pay for houses and the rents? Or educate you about the fact that the majority of California residents today are renters? And what do they want? We call it a democracy. Do you think that the renters want their rent to keep going up? For it to get to be a greater and greater pipe dream, to ever imagine ever being a homeowner of any sort, even a modest dwelling, keeps getting further out of reach. You don't think that's depressing, discouraging, just disturbing? It's just everything bad. Okay, it's bad. It's an insecurity, a financial insecurity dial that's just been turned up my whole life. I've had to watch this thing unfold. Okay. And they've had to go gradually and incrementally, but we're cooked, man. Like the analogy of the frogs in the water. We weren't shocked at the assassination of JFK. We didn't jump the hell out of the pot. And so they cooked us. And America's cooked. We're a fallen nation. We're in trouble. I'm sorry, friends, but look, it's got to hit the fan. We got to get realistic. We need to really be honest. That's all we need to do. We don't need to be particularly intellectual. All we have to do is be honest and understand this is not good. We need prices to come down. I just heard a report that the price of lumber has gone up some 200% recently or some ungodly figure. And I'm thinking, what the hell is going on here? Where's the competition? Where's the supply and demand? Who's making it so difficult to farm wood? And besides that, why aren't the manufacturers of non-wood housing products out there saying, hey, we're here, there's options. There's a lot of options. You ever heard of Adobe? You ever heard of brick? There's other ways to build. You ever heard of steel? There's other ways to build. Okay, because we need some education here. People need to understand they're getting ripped off. This is not in the long run good for anybody. The burden just keeps on getting passed along, passing the buck, passing the pain. What are we leaving? What are we leaving this generation? This national debt? You think this is a joke? Who's ever been given a credit card when you didn't have a due date? You got to pay it. Say, okay, well, I'll just borrow money off my credit card and pay it with that. And yeah, you could do that for a while, but it always hits the fan, doesn't it? It always comes payable. So you got to either file bankruptcy or you've got to pay it by the due date, right? You got to do something. You're on the hot seat. But the mainstream media won't educate you about this stuff, tell you how important, imperative it is, and say this has horrific implications. If we don't address this, if we don't confront it, I mean, do you understand? How is this good for the average person? This is not good. This is not cute. This is not funny. This is not a joke. But yet, I'm an alarmist. I'm a radical alarmist. That, oh, don't worry. I mean, because what? Because somehow they're being enriched. So that this wealth imbalance, they believe, at least in their mind, it's going on their side of the ledger for now. And as long as it keeps going on their side of the ledger, they're going to poo-poo guys like me. They're going to say, nah, you're a loser. You're not invested in the establishment. I mean, it's the only way. You got to go along with the program here. Okay, it's the only way you succeed and you're financially successful and secure and financially free and all those good things we all want, prosperity, all this crap. And it's sad, friends, because you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. There's riches far beyond this world. And those are the riches that God wants us to sink our teeth into. We're talking eternal ones. But if you're overly invested in this world and you don't admit we need major changes, okay, we got to get off the junk, man. We got to get off the junk. What's the junk? The junk is money. It's that simple. I'm telling you, it is evil, evil, evil. There's no other solution other than to rid the world of all and any forms of money. Period. That's it. It's just people, one man getting an advantage over another. That's what it's all about, and they love it. They love it. They love their lives in this world the way it is. And what did Christ say? He said, you must hate your life in this world because of the way it is. Who's running it? The Prince of Darkness. What's his ambrosia? It's money, his power. You take that away, he's got no power. We either work together as a family or we don't work. That's it. It's as simple as that. This whole capitalism game they talk about, and this is the game we're playing. We believe in it. It's political and it's this and that. And, you know, if you're not a capitalist, you're not a good American. I'm thinking, yeah, but I've learned about capitalism. If you're talking about the real deal game, it's based largely on supply and demand. It has to have some semblance of logic. Okay, you understand? It has to be fair. The rules have to apply. You can't have favoritism, okay, and privilege that's selective and exclusive, okay? You can't have that. That's not a game played fair. And it's got to be based on logic. So honesty is involved. You say, are you just saying you believe that's logical when you know it's really not, okay? But you have ulterior motives. Okay, you understand? That's what's in. And a lot of people, they won't conceptualize, they won't actualize, they won't consciously understand these things I'm talking about because it threatens their little world. Like Jimi Hendrix would say, their little worlds won't let them go. And it happens to all of us on some level, some basis. I mean, you think I don't have issues? I got issues coming out the wazoo, like we all do. It's part of being human. In our weaknesses, his strength is perfected. You can't get away from the fact that it's only by his amazing grace that any of us contend and cope and get by one day at a time, because this is a mad, 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 mad world. And if you fundamentally got to understand that from God's point of view, God did not create money. Okay, it was a concept created by evil men and imposed on other men to steal their wealth, their labor. You know, this is the whole thing about slavery. What they've done today is they've normalized slavery. There's a lot of people that don't care. They'll just tell you you're bad, you're un-American, you lack compassion if you don't want every immigrant and his brother and uncle to come to America because things are bad down home and they don't have whatever it takes to resist, which is what an American would do. So what are they telling? What are they teaching us by running here? Where do we have to run as Americans? And yet I should tolerate people being driven out of these encampments, these homeless people in LA and whatnot, all over the place. I mean, these are native-born Americans, sons and daughters. And if you meet a lot of these people, you'll find out a lot of them are white people. What's going on here? Okay, I mean, I tell you what, if you're not upset about the state of affairs in this country, in this state, okay, there's something wrong with you and you need help. Okay, because this is wrong. Even the immigrants themselves would much rather be fair, okay? They're thinking socialist policies in America now. They know that, but you understand, they think it's working for everybody. If they're going to get housing assistance, because they're not just leaving these immigrants, especially they go, what did they say, 13,000 children, unaccompanied children at the border? You think they're going to leave them homeless on the streets of LA? They've got to take care of their needs. They're going to automatically, by default, they'll be on the social welfare programs. I don't know all the details, but will they be on HUD? And they'll say, yes, I want to be a farm worker. I want to work in agriculture. Automatically, I mean, boom, that's it. That's the box to check. It'll get you your housing. That's how it works. That $50 billion a year that's spent on this Section 8 housing, But yet, look how we treat our own native-born American sons and daughters, primarily white people. I mean, if there's racists in America today, well, what about that? I mean, there's racism in every culture has this stuff. If you want to call it race, it's just evil. I mean, to me, a racist is evil. But if you call it tribalism and people are tribalistic, and that's why you often see people of color that like to hang around together, or people of this nationality or this, whatever it is. I mean, there's a lot of ways people break up into tribes, and a lot of times they come together on common